Yoshi P did a lot of show and tell. He did a lot of interviews with various media agencies, and he started hinting about a number of things regarding 7.1, and specifically, he's been talking about Sphene a lot. Yoshi P says in an interview with The Gamer that a clue for the next FF14 patch would be the word encounter. He also says there is meaning behind Sphene's crown. To think about who is the Sphene that appears to us in 7.0 and what discussions have taken place with her. When I asked Yoshida this, he reminds me that the Sphene we know from Dawn Trail is just a reproduction of the original Sphene from the Night Reflection who died during the Calamity of Lightning. So, that's she died from the... Yeah, it is the Night... He confirmed it in his dialogue. It is the Night Reflection. So we got confirmation from Yoshi P. If that was his intention or not, we got confirmation that the Night Reflection is Sphene's reflection. Now, she died during the Calamity of Lightning. She died from that weird disease that... the lightning affliction that a lot of their people have, if I recall correctly. So that's how she died. But before she died, they were successfully able to preserve her memory. If you recall, Otis was the test subject for this process, and they preserved Sphene's memory because of that before she died. Now her memory lives on, so she's a reproduction of the original Sphene from the Night Reflection who died during the Calamity of Lightning. We already knew that. He urges me to imagine various possibilities and look forward to what may come, while teasingly saying, because after all there is a meaning behind the crown. Think about who is Sphene that appears to us in 7.0 and what discussions have taken place with her. Now let's talk about her in 7.0. So we see Sphene, we meet her outside of Solution 9. She gives us a tour of the overall place, shows us around, has a lot of dialogue with us. Then she gives us a big grand tour of Solution 9. The person we're interacting with, as we saw when we defeated Zoralja, for example. Once the gate above Everkeep was closed, Sphene disappeared as well. So Sphene, the Sphene we were talking to is the memories of Sphene that were within the Meso Terminal that's located in living memory. So she was taking control of the automated robots that were around here, and that's how she was communicating with all of the people here. And I assume that was always the status quo, even when Solution 9 was on its original reflection. That's how she communicated with all of her people. And it begs the question about her crown. Now, so we have the crown here. This is how the crown appeared at the end of 7.0. It resonates around, it looks like it's glowing, and we're like, okay, so they're hinting at something, we don't know exactly what it is. If I go to the dialogue here, so this is the entirety of the dialogue of the MSQ and beyond of Dawn Trail. So let me do the word crown. Crown, deck source, oh, so there's going to be a lot. Hunting, I mean, that's fine. Apologies for the interruption. I was hoping I might observe you at work. So that's Kakiwa. Hunting, you mean? Oh, that's fine, I guess. Hold on. I assumed they were wearing special regulators like Queen Sphene's crown, but they aren't wearing anything at all. And that made me think about something. Yeah, Streaka was a hunter, not a farmer. So, wearing special regulators like Queen Sphene's crown. So that's her saying that this is a regulator. However, the Queen Sphene that we know is her memories from Meso Terminal taking over an automated unit. Why would she need a regulator? And the regulator is, this regulator crown is not on the robot after it's struck down. So we see her facsimile disappear and the crown's not there, and then she takes over another and the crown is there. It's just part of her outfit. Perhaps it was just something she told her people just to say, oh, I'm wearing a regulator, but it's actually in the shape of a crown. But that got me thinking. Now, we all know about this little gizmo, the regulator. What we don't know is exactly how it came about. What if this crown is an ancient artifact of some sort that has a lot of the same features and abilities as a regulator, what if it was reversed? What if the regulators were created by reverse engineering the technology or magical ability of this crown? I can't remember exactly how this was created. I know they created it some time ago, but what if they researched the crown in order to make this? It's an interesting idea, isn't it? Because there's no reason for her to wear a regulator, unless she just, as I just said a few minutes ago, unless she just told her people, don't worry, I'm actually wearing a regulator, my crown is actually a regulator. Because at this point, they just thought she was a living, breathing girl walking around. They didn't know that she was just memories latched onto a robot. Maybe the crown actually does exist. Maybe there's a real crown. Perhaps. As I've already speculated, Everkeep was built around the old Castle Alexandria. Perhaps this crown was passed down in the Alexandros line, in the bloodline of the Alexandros family. Perhaps it was passed down from daughter to daughter, queen to queen, until it ended up with the original Queen Sphene. So this is the original Queen Sphene's crown, which we saw a facsimile of, but we didn't see the actual crown. But perhaps the crown actually does still exist, but is in Castle Alexandria, which is at the base of Everkeep, which we don't have access to at the moment. So it could add us to be going to Castle Alexandria, which is something I've been speculating about. I think it's going to be a dungeon that we're going to be exploring Castle Alexandria. But it begs the question, why are we going looking for this crown in the first place? Let's go back to the topic here. So, after all, there is a meaning behind the crown. Think about who is the Sphene that appears to us in 7.0 and what discussions have taken place with her. Also, what happened to preservation? You mean to tell me they pushed the idea of the Andes and Sohosakadek and didn't use it for themselves? I think preservation's still around. I think they're still knocking around somewhere, unless they all did die and they were just memories then. Because they were trying to preserve Sphene and the Endless. It's plausible they all became Endless themselves. Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to find out what happens with preservation sometime in the future. Whether they're all dead or not is the question, really. But this line here, think about who is the Sphene that appears to us in 7.0 and what discussions have taken place with her. Yeah, so here it is, right? So they're having the discussion with Wuklamat and Sphene are having the discussion. I know it isn't easy to change one's beliefs and way of life. The Mulja had their reasons and relies on blessed siblings, as much as you have yours for souls. But if we defeated Zeralja, you'd be able to make all the decisions, right? We could then work together to fix things, restore your realm to where it belongs, and see where we can go from there. Listen to me. There's something I need to tell you. And then she sees the robot walking by. And then she's like, actually, never mind. It's nothing of import. So maybe that means something else. Like, at the time, when I saw this and you see the robot walking by, I was under the assumption that she was worried that Zeralja might find out. But what was he going to do? What was Zeralja going to do to her? There's not really much he could do to her, could he? Insanity Pepper says, were there two Sphenes? Well, they all interacted with us the same way, so I don't think so. I think they were all just projections from the Meso Terminal. I mean, there is two Sphenes if you think about it. There's the Sphene originally who died hundreds of years ago, and then there's the projection of our memories, which is the Sphene that we know. So we never knew the original one, the living, breathing one. We knew the Endless Sphene. What if she isn't the only version of Sphene out there? It's entirely possible as well. Like, who knows? Her memories could have been preserved in other places. They did devote a lot of time and resources to preserving Sphene's memory. So it's entirely possible that her memories, maybe the crown, perhaps her memories are within the crown itself. So maybe the crown does exist and Sphene's memories are actually backed up in it, like a flash drive. We know regulators are capable of something like that, so... Like Kryle's Lucky Clover, exactly, yeah. So it could be an Electrope device, but... I don't know, I don't think this is Electrope. I think it's something older. I think it's something far older. Listen to me, there's something I need to tell you. Like, originally I thought it was her just saying, I need to tell you what my plan is? I don't think that's what she was going to tell us. Listen, there's something I need to tell you. I'm planning to drain everybody's soul to supply the endless, or I need to tell you that I'm endless, or... I think she knows something. I think there's something else. Yeah, but the robots are essentially her memories taking over the robots. Similar to what Kakiwa was doing with that weird looking robot of hers. She was controlling it from living memory, don't forget. So Sphene was doing something similar. So I wonder what this means exactly. Data for the endless Sphene has been overwritten and reconfigured. Does that mean that they used a backup of her memories, so the original memories of Queen Sphene, and overrode the rest of the memories she developed over the hundreds of years after? Forever I will keep and cherish my people. To that end I will remove the remaining checks upon my authority, whatever that means. Instructions to the plan will be summarily removed when she tried to remove us. Like, I was under the assumption that she purged her.
Synchronization complete. Data for the endless Sphene has been overwritten and reconfigured.
Yeah, overridden and reconfigured.
All shall be well, henceforth and in perpetuity.
Yeah, so she did that in order to focus on her goals without her heart getting
Forever will I keep and cherish my people. To that end, I have removed the remaining checks upon my authority.
Which is her heart and her kindness, essentially. And then shields up.
Gods! Obstructions to the plan will be summarily removed.
Bye-bye.
Wait! I still have it set.
Be gone from my presence.
Bye. Oh no. Bye, kitty. Yeah, yeet. That's not nice. I'm not happy.
According to Eliminator's battle data, you pose the single greatest threat.
So you decided to keep me around instead of throwing me out? I'm honored.
As such, you will be erased here and now.
You can tell her old memories are still there because she yeeted everybody out instead of just erasing all of them. No sign of the crown on her belly there. Kryl is deemed the greatest threat. Oh, so here's the fact.
I am the bearer of the memories of Queen Sphene of Alexandria.
I am the bearer.
And my desire to protect my people transcends all others.
Okay. Oh no, I don't want to do that.
If it were you, could you have found another way? With your strength, could you have held fast to that which is dear without sacrifice?
Yeah, and we answered. We gave her the answer, yeah.
Listen to me. There's something that I need to tell you.
Okay. Well, she doesn't tell us anything because she watches the robot walk by.
Is that concern or suspicion? If things should take a turn for the worse...
Yeah, I think you're right, Insanity Pepper. Might I call upon you? The key. Spent too much time looking at this damn key. I'm still not sure about this. I'm still not sure. Like, I still like to think that it's Azem's creation. But also a part of me thinks that it absorbs its magic, you know? And then it shows us. It's weird, isn't it? It just... But why did she bring the key out in the first place? That's my question. Why is the key out here? Why did she do that? Is she trying to just finish the bridge? Is the bridge not active yet? I'm assuming that was the bridge. So... yeah, but why? I thought Dimensional Fusion was already active. So... it was active pretty much throughout the fight. Yeah, so let's go back to this line for a second, right? So... I am the bearer of the memories of Queen Sphene of Alexandria, and my desires to protect my people transcends all others. So she doesn't view herself as Queen Sphene. She views herself as the bearer of Sphene's memories. So from that point of view, there's two Sphenes. There's the one who died. And even though she has her memory, she doesn't think of herself as that Queen Sphene. It's entirely possible that the original Queen Sphene, after she died, and her memories were preserved, she was buried within Castle Alexandria. Is it entirely plausible that she was resurrected? Preservation, perhaps? I think that's another thing I thought about. Preservation, if it's still around, is operating from within the old Castle Alexandria. All nations soon became dependent upon it, Electrope, despite the difficulty of obtaining it in quantity. Supply was chronically scarce, and when nations couldn't meet the needs of their own deposits, some resorted to take Electrope from others. Tale as old as time. Fighting was isolated to sporadic until Electrope came to be used in warfare, first in the weaponry of invaders, and then in the countermeasures of defenders, and then in every aspect of combat where an advantage might be had. This served only to exacerbate the ore shortage, leading to further escalation. Before long, the entire world was engulfed in a terrible war known as the Storm Surge. As the war came to a head, Alexandria's neighbour Lindwin committed its stores of Electrope to the production of a weapon of mass destruction. They deployed it on the front lines and triggered a calamity with frightful magnitude. Not even their own scientists had anticipated the force of the lightning that was unleashed. The energy inundated the entire continent, laying it to waste. Yeah, so that's Storm Surge 101, essentially. So Lindwin developed it, Lindwin used it, and Lindwin was usually the top tech guys back in the day. Of FF9 anyway, but it's primarily the Milala had the mathematical principles to make Electrope work in the first place. But once everybody knew the principles and Electrope was created, they essentially did the rest. And Electrope has infinite possibilities. You see it all over Solution 9, and you see the frickin' pony do it in M4. So she uses it as a cannon, she makes wings out of it, makes a cityscape, etc, etc. But to continue the tale, the people of Alexandria had lost so much in the war. They lost almost everything else to the Levin. Those who survived wore deep scars, tormented by the memory of loved ones taken from them. Though they yet lived, the cruel spectre of death was with them always. Seeking a solution, our scientists turned once more to Electrope, and after extensive research, they developed a means to preserve memory and soul. Physical death isn't the end, so long as our memories endure, we may live on. This belief sustained them, and it sustains us now, granting us comfort. So that's essentially how the Endless came to be. And they developed a means to preserve memory and soul, which was the development of the regulators and development of the terminals in living memory. So you can preserve somebody while they're walking around doing their thing, but anybody who does die, you can preserve their memories with the regulators as well, and they're preserved in the terminals of living memory. They went wrong by consuming souls instead of preserving them. Yeah, well, they had to fuel it, and apparently only living aether suffices to keep the Endless alive, for whatever frickin' reason that is. So when Sphene connected to another reflection, it wasn't just to absorb the aether of that reflection, it was to absorb the living aether of that reflection. So she wanted souls from that reflection. But as far as we're aware, she didn't launch an attack on another reflection. She connected to another reflection while we were fighting her, but we don't know if an attack was launched similar to what happened with to Leolal, for example. Troops march in, they start sucking everybody's souls out and transporting them back, sort of thing. But we weren't bearing witness to anything, so for all we know, there was an army at the ready in living memory, and as soon as it was connected to a neural reflection, the army was sent through. We didn't see any of that. We only entered the terminal, so we're standing outside of a terminal in the middle of living memory, and we entered it. For all we know, she sent an entire army to another reflection. We don't know exactly. We don't know the process behind. All we knew is that the terminal says everybody's ether is about to be replenished. Whatever the hell that means. Or however the hell that works. There's a lot of 11. Yeah, so it's the only time she said that. But she did try to talk to us a number of times, and then it just goes, nah, maybe later. But that was really the only time that we really saw her do something like that. I wonder if the vibe I got from her trying to tell us something is true, if the preservation is actually still around and she was afraid of the control. That's a good idea, actually. She might have been trying to tell us about preservation. Preservation's goal is to preserve the endless through whatever means necessary. Now, the endless are gone now, because all the terminals are shut down. It's entirely possible that if preservation's around, they're going to be pissed off. And they want revenge, I guess, or maybe they want to take over the civilization that's left behind. Now that Sphene and Zoralja are gone, they might think, okay, they're gone, and we don't like this little pup, Gululja. We're taking over Alexandria now. It's our turn. So that might be it. I mean, we know there's a lot of dark elements in Alexandrian culture. Well, look at the crown for a second. So you've got these elements here and here, and then you have this part which glows, so it looks like it's entirely separate from the rest of the crown. And they did make allusions to it being kind of looking like an Ascian's mask, which Ascian masks are not Ascian masks, they're the masks of the Convocation. So it's entirely possible that this... Is that possible? Could this crown have belonged to a member of the Convocation? Let's think about that for a second. Could this have been a crown worn by one of the members of the Convocation? I mean, we know they had their own unique masks, so a crown doesn't really make sense, but maybe it wasn't a crown. Think about this for a second. Maybe these were added on after the fact, because these look like they're separate from this. So maybe these are after additions to make whatever this is into a crown. But when it was an ancient relic, these didn't exist on it. Could this perhaps be part of, or could it have been part of, a mask of a Convocation member? Let me get the encyclopedia real quick. So, not to offend anybody or anything else like that, but something like this would be worn, well, if we put it in the idea of a crown like that, it would be worn by a female. Male crowns tend to take a more different appearance. Well, let's think about the Convocation. Let's think about the Convocation members for a minute, right? Oh. The Convocation of 14. So let me read through it real quick. So we have Azem the Traveller, Pilgrim of the Star and Counselor to the People, of course. Logrif, who we've already met. The Pastor, Cataloger and Caretaker of Terrestrial Creations. Okay. Metron, we've already met him as well. He's the Mariner, Magister of Nautical Affairs and Surveyor of Aquatic Creatures. See, one thing in common that they all have in common is they all have a kind of constellation symbol on their stones. Some people have been mentioning Pastra. Pastra is next up. So Pastra is the Arbiter, Conservator of Order and Collective Will. And then some people are saying Ultima, who is the Composer, the Advocate of Aesthetics and Myriad Arts. Halmarut is the Sower, Cultivator of Botanical and mitochondrial creations. Mycological creations, rather. Nabrialis is the contender, martial champion to refiner of technique. We never really saw much of Nabrialis' technique, did we? We saw a couple of moves off him, but that's about it. Well, we did fight him though, didn't we? Yeah, we did fight him back in the day, didn't we? We didn't have much martial technique. Wyrm, the rhetorician, author of debate and collator of knowledge. We've already seen her, she's dead. Well, at least that shard of her is dead anyway. Dudalafon, the innovator, appraiser of architecture and patron of invention. Somebody we haven't met at all. Emiraloth, the mender, curator of medicinal and therapeutic practices. He is the Asian who lost his life in Eureka, but he was brought back from another shard from a different reflection to take place in the Asian meeting soon after. And then you have Lahabrea, Elidibus, and Azem, of course. Right, there is a mention about their masks. Let me mention this real quick. So, of a special design not seen amongst the general populace, these red masks proclaimed an individual holder of a seat of the Convocation of 14. Members otherwise donned by... Wait a second. Is this Azem's mask? Is that what this is? Is this Azem's mask? They all had their own unique masks. They were usually red. Is this his mask? Is that it? All the connections with Azem that we've been seeing, and then the crown is for some reason important again? Is that it? Was that the fucking thing staring us in the face the entire time? And that could tie into the other theory that people are having, that Sphene was the Azem shard from the Ninth Reflection. Is that it? Was it just as simple as that? I think that's it. So let's put it all together. He's been hinting about this crown. This crown is something important. And it's a crown right now because it has these side additions added to it. Because if it didn't have these side additions, it wouldn't work as a crown. So whatever this is, it was an old artifact. And we felt that it was utilized to create the regulators. So it was reverse engineered. Whatever this was reverse engineered. And the regulator was what the result was. But these side additions were added after the fact because they look completely different from this. It might just be a design perspective, but I think they were added afterwards to make the crown work. But this, considering all the connections we've seen to Azem up until this point, could be an element of Azem's masks. It could be the Traveler's Mask. I think that's it. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. This, if it's not his mask, it belonged to Azem. And it's from the Ninth Reflection, but we see artifacts from all over. We see artifacts appear from the Ancients all over the other reflections. The first had numerous artifacts as well. But that's it. I think that's what it is. He's been trying to point at us the whole time, and it is Azem, because Azem has been a central focus in regards to the key. And it would fit the character as well. Like, Azem, we're a kind individual that cares about everybody else first. Sphene was exactly like that. She was a caring individual who only thought about the people first. So, yeah. That's it. Okay, it took us like almost 2 hours to get there, but we got there. I don't know why that only clicked with me now. Why didn't I think about Azem before? It did look like, because this is one thing as well. Don't forget, all members of the Convocation had their own symbol whenever they manifested their powers. The thing appears over. We always thought it was an Asian trait, but it's existed on Convocation members before they identified as Asians, before the Sundering. Emmett Selk did it whenever he was manifesting his powers. The mask would come up as his member of the Convocation, signifying him as a member of the Convocation. What if this design, which appears to be wholly unique, is a design of Azem the Traveller, with the heart in the middle? Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe it's a physical manifestation of that symbol. It could be a creation of Azem, similar to the key, a physical representation of the symbol of the seed of Azem. Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm convinced this is... It belonged to Azem. I'm convinced it belonged to him. If it's not his mask, it's a symbolic representation of his Convocation mark, which also can take the form of a mask because it appears over their faces. And it would also tie Sphene to Azem as well, because we've been wondering who Azem's incarnation was on the Ninth Reflection. Some of us were assuming it's Kryl. I assumed it was Kryl as well. I didn't want it to be Kryl. But if Sphene was, it would make a lot of sense, and her character, as we just said a couple of minutes ago, does chime with our own, because she was a very kind individual. So, let's put this into context then. So if you read this, when I ask Yoshida, he reminds me that the Sphene we know from Dawn Trail is just a reproduction of the original Sphene from the Ninth Reflection who died during the Calamity of Lightning. He urges me to imagine various possibilities and look forward to what may come, while teasingly saying, because after all there is a meaning behind the crown, and the meaning is the mask of Azem. Think about who is the Sphene that appears to us in 7.0 and what discussions have taken place with her. Let the fan theories and deep dives into all Sphene conversations commence, which they have for the past hour and a bit here. Thus spoke Hitler-Deus, having ambled into his office at the Bureau of Architects to find a crystal sitting rather conspicuously on a chair reserved for guests, slipped from the singularly adventurous pocket, no doubt. He marvelled at the way the light played on its facets, like the surface of a tranquil lake, and recalled the first visitor he had that morning. Azem had sought the chief's assistance with the refinement of the 14th in his series of concepts to help ease the burdens of travel, which was contained within the palm-sized crystal. So he collected his friend's crystal and he went off on his merry way, making his ideal moment to deliver the forgotten crystal. So it could be that as well. So we have two theories now. Theory number one, it's Azem's... It could be one of his creations. It could be a palm-sized crystal, because as we said, don't forget, ancients are much bigger than us. This could easily fit into the palm of the hand. They do describe it a little. He marvelled at the way the light played on its facets, like the surface of a tranquil lake, and recalled the first visitor he received that morning. He marvelled at the way the light played on its facets, like the surface of a tranquil lake. Let's think about that for a second. I would have assumed the crystals would have been like our crystals of light. Yeah, it might have been for another purpose different to how the Preservation Endless used it. Exactly, because they use the key without any understanding of how it works or why. So they just know that the thing activates and does two things. They don't know exactly what the key does though. They could barely activate it. It's entirely possible that Azem's memories are locked within this device. Entirely possible as well. So let's think about that for a second. If this was some sort of memory storage device, that could also lead us to the theory that it was what was studied and reverse engineered to make the regulator, which is also a memory storage device. So yeah, I'm happy with this being an artifact of Azem. If it's not his mask, it's a crystal that he created. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. It would also make sense if the design was made in an artifact made in the style of Azem's mask. That's the other theory I have as well, that it was made in the style of his, the symbol of Azem the Traveler. So yeah, I'm happy with those two theories. That it's either a representation of his mask, something he created, or it's the crystal that was described in the Tales of the Dawn that Hythlodaeus had a hold of, or one of those creations anyway. The idea of it being a memory storage device is quite compelling to me as well. The crown that we've seen up until this point wasn't the real crown. It was a facsimile of that crown that was worn by Sphene. This real crown may still exist, and it may possibly contain the memories of Azem the Traveler. This might be our catalyst for gaining access to information regarding Azem. What if Sphene had the memories of Azem? Entirely possible as well. But it's also possible that she may not have been able to fully unlock them. She may have been in a shard of Azem, but maybe the memories, she couldn't unlock them. Yes, that she talks as, yes, that's a good point. She might have had some of the memories of Azem, which is why she talks to us the way that she does. But in the end, she doesn't consider herself that person. So it's quite possible that the original Queen Sphene had the mask, or the crown, and she had access to the memories of Azem the Traveler. But the Sphene that we met is only a facsimile that retains the memories of Queen Sphene. She doesn't consider herself to be the original Queen Sphene. So that's a good point. So the original Queen Sphene may have had Azem's memories, similar to how the other Ascians, the lower Ascians, were granted their memories thanks to the stones that were created for them. These stones that were created to house their memories, and that when they pluck one of these shards from a reflection, they give that shard, who has no memory of their life, the memories of that convocation member, and then they continue their work as an Ascian. It's entirely possible that this crown does the same thing, but it has the memories of Azem the Traveler, the real memories. So we know MSL created our stone, but it doesn't have any memories in it. But it's entirely possible that Azem was considering something like this and created one for himself. Azem was being pretty mysterious towards the end, and he wasn't interacting with the convocation, so it was entirely possible. Or this could be something else entirely, but I think our answer is right there, that this belongs to Azem. It wasn't a crown. It's his mask or a facsimile of his symbol. But I've said this like 10 times, so I'm going to leave it at that and say that this is an artifact that dates back to the ancients, belonged to Azem the Traveler, and might actually be a crystal that is able to store memories, and may actually have the memories of Azem the Traveler. If not all of them, at least some of them.